All right. Hopefully this works. And it'll just be a little stripped down. That's all. Be a little more basic than normal today. I don't know if you're seeing me yet because we're having technical difficulties with our signal today, and I think that's a good sign. Okay, so sorry I was late today, and we're having a little. Sorry about this. We're just having a little issues. We have had no end of issues with internet over the last couple weeks, and so we're just now starting to get them sorted. Today was the day we got them sorted, and it's still a little bit off. So you're just sorry about this, but you're just going to have to deal with a little stripped down show today. But to get back to what I was saying before, hi everybody, and thanks for coming and hanging out. My name is Dylan. This is Dylan Talks Tone. Every Tuesday we have a regular video. It comes out on YouTube, and every Thursday we have this live hangout and Q&A, and usually I do all kinds of fun stuff, and today it's just going to be a little bit stripped down, but that's okay. We have a lot to talk about and a lot of stuff to do. Obviously you saw in the title, we're going to talk a little bit about Guitar Center because that is really a thing, and so we're going to talk about how that is going to affect real life and that sort of stuff. So that's a thing. I've got a couple of things to talk about. You said turn the mic up. Hang on one second. I will do so. I can actually do that. Plus 6 dB. Boom. All right, so that should be better. We should have better audio. Thank you for saying something. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to talk about some more amp shopping that I've been doing and kind of get you guys, get y'all's input on all this stuff. I wanted to discuss some specific things, but I guess we can't because of our current internet situation. But I was going to show you some stuff on the screen. One thing I wanted to talk about, though, this came up in a video comment today. I wanted to mention to everybody, I don't know if you know this or not, but I make pickups for a living. Like, that's what I really do. I don't just make YouTube videos. And so, let me put this back up here again. This is my website, dylantalkstone.com. Somebody actually sent me an email today, and they're like, I can't find you. Like, I want to buy something from you, but I can't find you. I don't know where your website is, which is sort of weird to miss, but maybe I don't actually directly say it enough. So I just wanted to talk about that. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is we have that special t-shirt on sale right now too. So check that out, dylantalkstone.com. Make sure you go and check all that out. I really wanted to share that with you, but I don't think I can. I'm going to try because I really want to. But anyway, so that's the story with today. Just trying to make everything as it's been a day. Okay, we've done a bunch of stuff. So first of all, so I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the website. I want everybody to know that. Let's get to some of our questions from our Patreon, people that have sent questions into Patreon. We got some actually really good questions again this week. Last week we had some questions too that were awesome. These are getting so fun. So I appreciate everybody that sends it in. You can go to patreon.com/DylanTalksTone. And if you ask a question there, I will make sure that I cover it during this live on Thursday at 5 p.m. I get a lot of comments on YouTube every day, and I don't get a chance to read them all. I try, but I don't get a chance to read them all. And I also get a lot of emails. And what happens is people will ask me like random questions about, hey, I have this guitar, can you help me? And so I try to incorporate that into videos, and I try to incorporate that into our Q&As, but this is the way to kind of narrow that down so that we make sure that we get your question answered every week. So David says, I totally understand. Okay, we were talking about in a video yesterday or a couple days ago, or I don't know. I totally understand your recommendation to not use steel wool for any guitar maintenance. Don't use steel wool on your guitar. I just saw a video where a luthier was using Scotch-Brite 3M 7445 to do a fretboard cleaning. Have you ever tried using white Scotch-Brite? It's supposed to be equivalent to double-aught steel wool. It actually works pretty good, and I think the little pads that I use from Lizard Spit, I'm pretty sure those are very, very similar in grit, if you will, to a white Scotch-Brite. I think they actually might be a little softer even. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't have any problem with that. Here's the thing about steel wool. Steel wool, the problem with it is the fragments of steel that come off of the steel wool that fall apart get in your pickups. And I don't care what you do, and I don't care what you say, and I don't care what your dad told you, and I don't care what you've been doing for the last 40 years and getting away with it. It's not a good idea. I've had to fix pickups because of it. So don't do it. Just don't use steel wool on your guitar, and don't use chemicals like naphtha. I don't know why people want to use harsh chemicals on their guitar. It blows my mind. Wayne says, no questions this week. I just wanted to let you know that I got the new shirt in yesterday, and I freaking love it. Now I just need the bike to go along with it. Thanks, Wayne, for ordering that shirt. I appreciate it. I love it too. It's killer. I was going to put it up on the screen, but you guys have probably seen it if you follow the channel over the last few days. You can go to Dylan Talks Tone and order it. Dylan, thanks for all the sharing you do. I recently built a Strat style guitar with a 10 to 16 compound radius. This is a very interesting question. 10 to 16 compound radius, and I think the fret job is decent, but I don't seem to be able to get my action much lower compared to my other guitar with a 9.5 inch radius without introducing fret buzz. I know there can be many reasons, including neck relief, nut, frets, etc. What I'm mostly interested in is, according to your experience, should a compound board allow for a noticeably lower action than a regular 9-inch or 12-inch board? If so, how much should or can be the possible difference if all else is perfect? Okay, so basically what he's asking here, I can actually hear my headphones down here. What he's asking there is talking about the fretboard. So when you're talking about a compound radius fretboard, for lack of a better word, the fretboard is a cone because it's got a flatter radius and then it curves into a sharper radius like this, right? So it's flatter down here at the towards the bridge, and then it curves as it comes up here. So it's sort of like a cone. But the problem is that you also have neck relief in there. So you actually have this dip in the middle and you have this cone. So it has a couple of different, things that it's doing. Sorry. It has a couple of different things that it's doing, but it's basically, it's got a dip in it like this. It has to have that, but it also is a cone. So number one, your fret work has to be perfect. Number two, I would definitely look at your nut height, because if the nut is, for lack of a better word, straight across like normal, that everything moves together, right? So if you move your string action up on one end, it comes up. If you bring your nut up, it comes up this way. If you bring your string action back down, your nut is still high. So your string has to make a straight line all the way down, but it's doing it differently because of that compound radius. So you may need a little bit more, and this has been my experience, you may need a little bit more tolerance in your nut height, just a touch, on your middle strings. So like your D and your G might need to be a little higher than standard, and your basically to kind of try to, you want to make sure that they exactly form the radius of the neck at the nut. Common sense says that when you do a nut like that, it always is like that. But I also think that a lot of times they end up being flatter than they should be. So just make sure that you have your neck radius to start that cone. And then you're probably going to need to run a little bit more neck relief than normal. But that's really going to depend on your frets. And doing fret work on a compound radius guitar can be tricky. I don't like it. I've had people, we've built, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 guitars with compound radiuses, and I just kind of got tired of doing them because of this very problem that you're talking about. And the last 2 that I did, the guy was so picky that I went and I had the guitar plecked, and he still didn't like it. So you have to allow a little bit, I think, on that guitar for a little bit more space for things to move around. Zoltan says, I keep getting ads for submarine pickups. Do you know what this is? I don't know what it is. Alejandro says, this is a good question too. Do you know why almost no electric guitar is routed so that there is a full hole from the top to the back so that you can easily change pickups? Humbucker for humbucker, P90 for P90, like to be able to swap out. He's talking about it would be tough to do like with a tremolo, but if you didn't have a tremolo and a pick guard on top that you could, swap around and do whatever. He's like, why doesn't anybody do it? There are a couple of people, like he said, there's only a couple. There's probably 2 or 3 people, and I'm sure you've seen them. I don't know. The easy answer is because no one would buy it. If you try to do something really cool, at least all the way until recently, guitar players didn't like it. Younger people might. There's this weird thing. Traditional guitar players don't like anything unless Les Pauls, Strats, and SGs and 335s. That's all they care about. They don't like anything pointy or anything. I'm generalizing here, but I've done a lot of research on guitar market stuff because of what I do, and I will just tell you, weird stuff, most traditional guitar players won't buy it. Number 1. Number 2, young people will buy crazy stuff and cool colors and cool shapes and electronics and synths and modelers and all kinds of 21st century stuff. However, they also are not as nerdy about this stuff, so they probably don't care about changing their pickups as much. Upgrading like a cheap guitar from like a cheap Squier and putting, Dylan pickups in it, for example, lots of young players do that. Like that's probably our number 1 market is people with less expensive guitars and they want to up the level a little bit, right? But if you pay extra for a guitar with this feature that swaps it in and out, the market is going to be super, super small because older people don't care about it and younger people don't care about that level of nerdiness in that way. That would be obviously a lot of generalization there. Talk amongst yourselves in the comments about that, but I think that's probably, I don't think anybody would buy it except for somebody like me who like nerds out about this stuff on purpose, or it's like a function of the job. But even I don't have a guitar like that because, to be quite honest with you, I have no interest in tiny nuances of tonal change. And I know that may come as some surprise to you, but I do not care about it. If an SG sounds like an SG and a Les Paul sounds like a Les Paul, and this new guitar over here doesn't sound like either of them because it's weird, then I think it's cool. I do not care about, let me take this humbucker and like adjust this little, like, first of all, it's not practical because actually most of that's blown smoke anyway, and marketing, number one. And number two, nobody actually cares that much unless you're in a Facebook forum or you're like trying to brag to your friends or something. But actually building tone in, you know, your rig, you have a goal sound that you're going for, and chances are you're making bigger swings at that tone than little tiny nuanced stuff. You know, if you're picking like a delay or an overdrive or something, then yeah, maybe you're really trying to fine tune it in. But pickups, a lot of times, I think most people are blowing smoke when they're saying, and here's how I know it, because 10 different people can email me and say, I'm looking for this particular tone by this particular artist with this little thing, with this bump in the thing right there. And I'll say, buy our center punches. And they'll get them, they'll put them in the guitar, and they'll be like, these are amazing. Then the next person will email me and say something completely different. And like, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want it to be this particular thing. And I'll say, you know what? Our center punches will do that. They'll buy them, they'll put them in their guitar, and they'll be like, holy crap, these things are amazing. I've actually never had a person, just by the way, never had a person send back a center punch because they didn't like it. Ever. The reason I say all that is because people want to focus in on one particular thing. And I've said this many, 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 many times in the video. People want to focus in on one particular thing, so they think they need to design a pickup to do, or a guitar, or whatever it is, a circuit to do this thing. But if you have something that does